Good evening, everybody. How's it going tonight? It's Snapshot Sacramento this week at the theater for February 7th, 2023. Yes, we're well into the second month of the year, believe it or not. I think it's kind of amazing to think about that. Doesn't seem like that long ago that we were welcoming in the new year. We are the Sacramento Area Regional Theater Alliance, SARTA, and we welcome you to this broadcast on this, very special month for me, I think. I always appreciate things that are going on during February. It's Black History Month, and so I've prepared something kind of special for you down toward the end of our broadcast tonight. We're going to start off with our usual procedures and find out what's going on that's special and any auditions that are happening, and then look at what's playing right now and what's coming up soon. And then I'm going to bring you each week when we have our broadcast some information about some theater history local to our area, to the Sacramento area, that you may or may not know for Black History Month. And I'm going to also try and feature some of our major players in the theater scene for people of color. So I won't tell you too much about it because I'd like it to be a surprise. Hopefully you'll enjoy learning some of these very cool things. I know I did when I was doing the research. So let's get started with our regular goodies and take a look at what's going on in the case of special events. I don't know how many of you had a chance to, but this past weekend was the Linnea Festival. And if you haven't done that before, it's pretty familiar to folks who work with young people in the education world, high schools, junior highs, special events at youth theater productions. For the whole weekend, these children are putting on these amazing shows, getting critiques, coming back, making improvements. It's this giant learning experience, and SARTA's always a sponsor of that. And I had some of my friends, I saw them posting on social media that they were there, and some of them were adjudicators, and it was great fun this weekend. So if you have a chance to, it always happens early in the year, the Linnea Festival. It's fascinating to go to. So let's take a look at our special events, see what hot, wonderful things are going on. I know this one's a little wordy, but I'm going to share with you what's happening because there's going to be a Mad Hatter's Tea Party. I think you need to get your best Mad Hatter's hat out and go to this. That's going to be on Saturday, February 25th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. After the Alice in Wonderland performance. Well, of course it would be after that, because who else needs a Mad Hatter but Alice in Wonderland, right? This is going to be out at Sutter Street Theater. They always put on wonderful children's performances, and this will be undoubtedly no different than most of their productions and be kind of amazing. So they're going to have their production of Alice in Wonderland, and then you're going to have a tea party on the set. Now, come on, that's fun. You got to admit, that sounds fun. So the party's going to include interactions with their cast, so you'll get to meet the characters that are there and get some pictures. You got to have a photo op, right? Everybody wants a selfie with a white rabbit. So you'll have, Alice and Lewis Carroll and the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit. The Caterpillar's supposed to be there, and of course, the Cheshire Cat. They're going to have some snacks served, including some White Rabbit cream puffs and tea or punch, and some Snooks chocolate gold coins. So lots of fun goodies if you go to the tea party. In addition, you're going to get an 8.5 by 11 original custom tea party print signed by the artist Mike Jimena. And if you haven't seen Mike's artwork, it's amazing. Go to the Sutter Street Theater website and you can see some of the information on Mike's painting, and he's renowned for doing set design and set painting and things like that, but he is also a very good fine artist and has a number of different paintings that are available. And I think he does classes too. So if you ever wanted to learn how to do something like that, you could take classes from him. So check it out. If you want to make a reservation for the tea party, and I would suggest you do and make it early, go to their website, sutterstreettheater.com for tickets, or you can give them a call. This sounds like it's going to be fun. You know you want to go to the tea party. Another special event that's happening for those of you who are interested in this or wanted to be writers or have been trying to write something, the Playwrights Collaborative meeting is scheduled for March 12th. So we're going to start telling you about it now. So you can contact them. You can go to the Playwrights Collaborative website, get in touch with them, and find out about going to their meetings, to their they meet regularly, and what they do is they read and critique. This is a place for you to get your words heard, have somebody read them, get some feedback from other playwrights on it. So if this is something that you want to do, it's going to be a theater only meeting. Their COVID masks are optional for this, but if you need a ride, you need to let folks know. They do try and help you out when it comes to that. So again, for further information, if you have a play you would like to have read, you can contact Gary Aged. He's the chairman, GaryAged.com, or give him a phone call, or go again to the website for the Playwrights Collaborative. They have their meetings each month, and it's a wonderful group to get involved with. All right, let's move forward then and take a look. Let's see what we've got coming up. Audition time. Get your headshots and resumes ready, because here we go, after I have a drink of water. Yum. Okay. So the first thing you get to audition for will be Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think you've heard of this show before. It sounds like it ought to be great fun. It's going to be directed by Alan Schmeltz. The auditions are on March 5th, which is Sunday, at Sutter Street Theater in their annex over on Figueroa Street in Old Folsom. And it's going to be cold readings, a prepared song. So you would need to pick out a song that you want to sing. Bring your headshot and resume if you have it. And a short song with a CD accompaniment or background tracks or something like that. They're not going to have anybody there playing piano for you, so you're going to have to do this on your own. Everything is open. There's no precast to any of the roles. So the show's going to run on Saturdays and Sundays starting at 1 o'clock, starting April 22nd to May 21st. So it's a 1-month run. So if you want to audition for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, be there on Sunday, March 5th at the Sutter Street Theater Annex, 710 Figueroa Street. More auditions. Resurrection Theater is announcing auditions for their fall and winter productions. Yes, they're getting a jump on things. They're coming at it really early, but why not? It gives you plenty of time to prepare and get all of your calendars straight. So they're going to be doing their auditions on March 19th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Wilkerson Theater. That's over at the R Street Theater Complex, 25th and R. It's where California Stage, Three Penny Theater, and Wilkerson Theater are all in that same complex over there. The plays that they're auditioning for are called Take Me Out, and it's going to run starting in September on Fridays and Saturdays. And then the one that will be running in November into December is called Straight White Men. So I think they might be looking for a few straight white men, along with anyone else who wants to come and audition. Remember, that's going to be on March 19th. So put that one in your calendar. I'll bring it back again and remind you that this one's coming up, but it should be nice if you want to plan something for the fall. You can have your whole summer and still manage to do some theater. I always drop this in because we still are in a time when people are getting sick. People are getting sick from flus and colds. People are still getting sick from COVID. So theater etiquette, just, before you go out to a theater, you might want to check their website, or, if you're thinking about it, give them a call and say, hey, are masks required? What are your COVID practices? Do I need to show my vaccine certification anymore? If you have not done it, If you've gotten your vaccines here in California, you do know that you can download and get the little QR code in your phone that you can just carry with you. So you don't have to worry about carrying the cards around and which one has the update for the last vaccination on it and that kind of thing. You can go ahead and get all of that taken care of. So our theaters are trying to keep their actors healthy. They're trying to keep their audiences healthy. So, I still wear my mask when I go out to the store and things like that. I work in a public space where I have to meet with people, and I don't have 6 feet of distance in my space where I work. So I wear my mask, and I have an air purifier running while I'm in my office space, my little cubicle space, to help me stay healthy too. So take care of yourselves, and let's take care of our actors in our community theater. We can be kind to each other and just do that one thing. It'll be helpful. And that's your theater etiquette for today. So now that you're all ready and you've got your Vax cards ready and your masks at hand, let's see what's playing this week at the theater. You can still go and see Escanaba in the Moonlight. This is a show written by Jeff Daniels. It's being directed by Connie Mockenhaupt, and it's playing out at the Sutter Street Theater. It's showing on Fridays and Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. and again on Sunday at 4:30. So if you can't make it in the evenings, you can make it to a matinee. If you want reservations for that, you can contact Sutter Street Theater at their website or give them a call. It's playing through February 19th, so you still have some time. This is not the final weekend for this. You still got some time to go see this wicked fun comedy called Escanaba in the Moonlight. The Chinese Lady is playing through February 26th at Capitol Stage. This is based on a true story of what the first Chinese woman who was brought to the Americas and sort of shown around like an oddity in shows because, this was a time when they were doing foot binding and things like that. So this is based on this woman's true life story, some of her reminiscences and memories of being put on display here in America, and some of the interesting ethnic foibles that occurred in her life. Audiences will follow her travels as she goes around as this living exhibit. So if you want to take a look at this piece of history, it's called The Chinese Lady, and again, it's playing through February 26th at Capitol Stage. Oh, I mentioned the Tea Party earlier. Well, here it is. This is Sutter Street Theater's production of Alice in Wonderland. It's playing through February 26th, which means that Mad Hatter's Tea Party on the 25th is its final weekend that it's playing. So don't wait until the last minute to get your tickets for that, because everybody will want to go on closing weekend, right? It's playing on Saturdays and Sundays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They made it a point to tell you it's rated G, so everybody in the family can come and see this wonderful, wonderful show, Alice in Wonderland at Sutter Street Theater. Now, we've got a fair few things that are coming soon. There's a couple of different things that will be opening within the next week or so, and that I want to tell you about. I'm really excited because I know some of the people who are in these shows, and they're going to be amazing. They're going to be amazing. The first one that's going to be amazing is being put on by EMH Productions, and it's going to be playing down at the Uli Theater on 28th Street in Midtown area of Sacramento. It's called Shirley Valentine. It's a play by a Willie Russell, and this play is a one-woman show. Elise Hodge of EMH Theater Productions fame is the star of this show, and it's going to open on February 16th and play through March 4th. You should get your tickets now to go and see this. I can't wait. I would love to see Shirley Valentine. I plan on it. So get your tickets for EMH Productions presentation of Shirley Valentine at the Uli Theater. Another one coming up very soon is called Bright Star. Green Valley Theater Company is putting on this production, and they're going to open on February 17th and play through March 12th. This is a new bluegrass musical by Steve Martin and Eddie Bickrell. Yeah, Steve Martin. Yes, that wild and crazy guy. You know who you're talking about. The music, book, and story are by Steve Martin, and the music, lyrics, and story is by Eddie Bickrell. They combined their talents for this. It did play on Broadway. It's going to be at the Cow Cap Studios Black Box Theater on Horn Road in Suite 100, just down Folsom, heading toward the Rancho Cordova area in Sacramento. It's a great theater, all on the first floor, very accessible. It's a very close set, and I happen to know that they're setting it up so that they're going to have the actors and musicians in and around the audience. It's going to be kind of cool because live music, it's going to be amazing. Bright Star, starting on February 17th. Another one that's coming up very soon, starting on February 10th, that's opening up really quickly, out at the Woodland Opera House. They're going to be showing their production of An American in Paris. This is going to be great with music and dancing. It'll be playing February 10th through March 5th on Fridays and Saturdays at 7:30, and then again on Sundays at 2 o'clock for those of you who prefer a matinee. They are being sponsored this time by Kevin and Lori Herberger and Roger and Judy Kohlmeyer. We like to thank those patrons who donate money and help sponsor the production of some of these shows. It takes a lot to put on a show, especially if you want to really put on a quality visual effect on the show. So a little extra for sets and costumes and things like that really help. And when we have these wonderful people who are willing to help underwrite a show or sponsor a show, the theaters do love to thank them, because so many times it wouldn't be possible to put these shows on if it weren't for the good graces of some of these wonderful patrons. So we like to say thank you. Thank you. Another one that's kicking off Black History Month for the folks at Celebration Arts. This is going to be put on at St. Hope's Guild Theater starting on February 10th. It will be playing through March 5th. It's called Direct from Death Row, the Scottsboro Boys. If you know anything about some of the challenging history of African American people in this country and some of the run-ins with the judicial system, this one is a doozy. Wrongly accused of assaulting a person and then courted by the Communist Party. The Scottsboro Boys story is a fascinating one. It's being directed by the acclaimed Sacramento's own director, Anthony Dewan, and Pulitzer Prize nominated musician and composer Harley White Jr. are leading this production. The performance is opening again on February 10th at the Guild Theater at 8 p.m. Live, direct from Death Row, the Scottsboro Boys. And they have an amazing cast that they have with them also. I like the fact that we're highlighting all of these amazing African American actors during Black History Month and all through the year. If you want to see a wonderful theater in Sacramento that features people of color, particularly African American folks, Celebration Arts is the place to go. They always have quality productions and amazing people in their cast. So we are so glad to have them as part of this month's celebrations. Also coming in February, starting on the 16th, to Roseville Theater Arts Academy is their production, children's theater production, called Dragon the Line. And I bet it's about dragons, so I can tell from all the great dragon scales. So this is an upcoming piece. Get your little ones and your young at heart ones together and go see Dragon the Line. It's going to be playing February 16th through the 24th. Another one that's coming up very soon is this particular show at the Winters Theater Company is presenting it. It's called Art, and it's by Yasmina Reza, and it runs for a limited engagement at the Winters Community Center at Fridays through Sundays, March 17th through the 26th. So it's, again, a limited window for this one next month, but the tickets are on sale right now. So if you want to get your chance to see this, you can buy them either through the the theater website, pardon me, or through Eventbrite if you have that. So this is winterstheater.org for Tickets to Art by Yasmina Reza. Now, I'm going to switch gears for a moment because I have something else I want to share with you that I said was going to be special for Black History Month. So I will be right back as soon as I switch up a few things. I'll be right back again. There we go. Didn't get it to come up there for a moment. Sorry about that. We want to celebrate during Black History Month some of the amazing contributions to community theater that have been going on for longer than you know. I put this particular slideshow together because one of the other things I get the privilege of doing is supporting some of our living history. And if you've ever done any of the tours in Old Sacramento with some of the docents down there to find out the history of the spaces there, or with the docents and volunteers and storytellers over at the Old City Cemetery, that is over on the corner of Broadway and 9th. It's directly across from the Target. For those of you who live here in town, you'll know where that is. It is a pioneer era cemetery, which means it was established back in the 1840s to 50s when the pioneers were here during the gold rush era. We have some of the people who were instrumental in putting together Sacramento and California's history. So if you ever really love to take a really cool history tour, plus see some amazing edifices and architecture in a cemetery, no, that's not creepy. Come on, grow up. There's nothing out there that'll hurt you. In fact, I find it to be a very peaceful place. I've been one of their storytellers for a number of years now. So finding out the history of the amazing people that were part of the founding of Sacramento, who started here and moved out into the world doing outstanding things, is what I wanted to bring and share with you. I have had the privilege of sharing this story at the cemetery several different times now. One of the pioneers, well, actually two, as I'm going to share with you, of the pioneers in early musical theater that were African American. So let's get started on this particular one and celebrate Black History Month. I want to talk to you about the wonderful contributions to local theater and beyond that were made by the Hyers Sisters. Now, the Hyers Sisters were young girls very early on. Let me sort out my story for them because they were kind of amazing. Anna Maida and her sister Emma were celebrated operatic prodigies in the late 1800s. They made their professional debut on the stage at the ages of 9 and 11. Singing soprano and contralto, they were classically trained. And from 1867, they performed in Sacramento's Metropolitan Theater to an audience of perhaps 800 people, they think, and received some very enthusiastic reviews in the Oakland Transcript and the Elevator, which was San Francisco's Negro newspaper. And this, remind you, is just after the time of the Emancipation Proclamation being signed. So things weren't very favorable for African American folks in the United States at that time, because there was still a lot of bad blood for not being able to have slaves and keep people in bondage. So having people up on stage singing and sharing their talent was pretty phenomenal. Up until then, when you saw black images on stage, it was usually white people in blackface. So the Hyers Sisters, first one, the eldest one was born in 1855, and the Animata passed away in 1929. Although that's disputed. Some say 1929. The cemetery records actually say 1926. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Emma Louise and Animata were their names, and they were singers and pioneers of black musical theater. With a few other people, I'll talk about one of their major players here in our slideshow too. But the Hyers Sisters produced the first full-fledged musical plays in which African Americans themselves played all of the parts and commented on the plight of slaves and the relief of emancipation without going out in blackface. They never were doing minstrel shows and things like that. So it was great. Their first play was called Out of Bondage. Here's a picture of Animata in one of her costumes from a show they did called Erlina, the African Princess. I tried to find some details on that one, but I found more on Out of Bondage than Erlina. But there's a couple of books and several movies done about them. So if you're interested in more of this, if you'd like to know more, we'll do our little promo at the end. You can find out more about these guys also. So that was from 1879. Here's her in and out of her costume, dressed as a very classy early Victorian lady back then, and in all of her finery. Lovely girls. Their story starts when their father, Samuel B. Hyers, came west from New York, they moved from, to Sacramento with their mother, Annie E. Hyers, after the gold rush. They didn't come during it. But he made sure his daughters received both piano lessons and vocal training with a German professor named Hugo Sank, and later with another opera singer, Josephine Diormy, which was, that was pretty elevated stuff back then, which meant that he was making pretty good money if he could afford to have these kinds of lessons for his girls. They performed for private parties before making their professional stage debut on April 22nd, 1867 at Sacramento's Metropolitan Theater. Anna was a soprano and Emma was a contralto, and their father managed their career at that time, and they embarked later on their first transcontinental tour in 1871, and on August 12th of 1871 they performed in Salt Lake City, Utah, to much acclaim, according to the news print of that time. One of their collaborators was this gentleman here named Sam Lucas, who worked with them on that show called Out of Bondage, and it's credited with being the first African American musical comedy. It was written in 1876 by Joseph Bradford and adapted by Samuel B. Hyers, and the play was performed by the Hyers Sisters in combination with Sam Lucas and Dan Lewis and some others. So this gentleman, Sam Lucas, was part of the show. They were called a rare musical treat by St. Joseph, Missouri's Daily Herald, and they earned a place of equal praise in Chicago, Cleveland, and New York during their tour. They went to Worcester and Springfield, Massachusetts, as well as New Haven, Connecticut, and Providence, Rhode Island. They visited Boston, which was known to be extremely critical of new acts and not very friendly, to people of color at that time. They were, they visited Boston, known to be critical of new acts, but they were well received. They performed in the 1872 World Peace Jubilee. And you can find information also online on the World Peace Jubilee too, which was pretty fantastic. This was one of the first times they had people from all different ethnicities performing on stage together, which was, kind of big deal, having an integrated major musical production going on in the country. This just wasn't done. The Hyers family organized a theater company. They produced musical dramas. Emma and Anna starred in most of them, including one called Out of Bondage, and that was the one that Joseph Bradford and Sam Lucas here wrote. And they premiered it in 1876. Then it gives them credits for the one you saw in the picture earlier called Erlina, the African Princess. They also in 1879 did one called The Underground Railway by Pauline Hopkins. And in July of 1880, they did the stage version of Uncle Tom's Cabin. They additionally performed The Colored Aristocracy by Hopkins, and overall they had at least 6 shows between the late 1870s and 1880s. They are credited for setting the path for Black musical theater and performance in the years that followed. They traveled until the mid-1800s with their shows and continued to appear on stage into the 1890s. Though Emma Louise had died in 1901, Anna Maida continued to travel with the show of John Ishman. So Anna Maida actually traveled and acted and performed a lot longer. But there's more to her story than meets the eye. After they had organized their theater company and everything, they were on the road in 1896. They had been on the road for 22 years by then, and so that was their final year on the road together. And as they pointed out, Emma passed away in 1901, so she had already died. But Anna Maida had had quite the life. According to her bio, she was married 3 times, the last to a Dr. Robert Fletcher. And here's some clippings from, and this is actually one of the playbills, they call them when you hand them out at the theater. Playbills from Out of Bondage that I found an image of, and some notable information from a newspaper about Out of Bondage playing at the Opera House. And you can see Sam Lucas's name in big letters there as part of it, being a part of it. Here's Anna and Emma Hyers, and another piece talking about the Hyers Sisters combination and their show Out of Bondage, living pictures of real life. It's very dramatic stuff. Again, these newspaper clippings and things like this, when you start digging and hunting some of this stuff down, you can be amazed at the amount of history that you can find out there. It's pretty darned impressive. Newsworthy events here again too. This one here, and I'm going to point at it with my pointer, was the actual poster sign. I found this in a couple of different places for Out of Bondage, the stage play. And then this was another newspaper clipping that showed the Hyers Sisters, dressed in their more of their everyday finery, talking about Out of Bondage and what an amazing show it was. So I think this was one of their major players, even though that they were credited with a number of shows in their bio information. Now, as I said, our Old City Cemetery has a lot of amazing history to it. Anna Fletcher, as her last name was by the time she passed on, is buried there. This is Anna Maida Hyers' grave, and it's downtown at our Old City Cemetery. She says she was married 3 times, and the last time she was married, it was to a Dr. Robert J. Fletcher, who was they called him a chiropodist back then, but that's a foot doctor, like a podiatrist. And he is also buried at the Old City Cemetery. Guess what? They're not buried in the same place. I don't know what the story is behind that part of it, but they aren't. And this is also the thing I was saying. The bio has her passing away in 1929. According to the stone in the cemetery, she died on March 22nd, 1925. So I'm not sure which one of these is correct. I would probably guess that the Old City Cemetery's records might be more accurate, but who knows? Anyway, 1920, at the age of 62 years old, she had seen so much in her lifetime. So think about this sometimes when you're wandering around in Sacramento. Go find some of these historic places. These are the story of two black women who made history, who came from right here in Sacramento and went on to be renowned early on in musical theater. The bio finishes by saying, it's been said that they helped lay the groundwork for the growth and development of Negro theater and popular entertainment for decades to come. And they were very proud of that. So Anna Maida and Emma Hyers, two of the pioneers in theater history that are from right here in the Sacramento area. I always feel like I need to get that little arrow with the rainbow and go, the more you know, right? So that's our special piece for Black History Month. That's the end of that, but I'll be right back to wrap up our regular broadcast in just a second. So hang on, I'll be right back. Told you I'd be right back. Okay, we had wrapped up our discussion of what was playing right now. You've had your Black History moment for the month of February. And as I shared, I'm going to come back each week to try and share something else with you that's fantastic about the local theater scene for people of color, particularly African American folks, because there's so much to share with you. Hopefully I can get some special interviews and things like that. So stay tuned to what's going to happen next. All right, everyone, please, you've got things going on out there. I know you do. So please let us publicize them for you. Go to the website. You can enter your show information under shows or your audition information under the audition section and let us know what's going on in your theater. Please let us share that. We'll put it out on our local calendar, which comes up on the SARTA website, and we can put it in this show. We'll let everybody know on Twitch. Then it'll get uploaded to YouTube, to our YouTube channel. Yes, SARTA has a YouTube channel also. If you want to see any of the past broadcasts of this particular production, they are there, along with some of our community conversations, some of our theater highlight profiles. And I do believe the last time we did the Ellies is in there too, in the archives from so many years ago now. So there's a lot there for you to go back and check out. So please let us publicize your program or your theater at sarda.com. If you have not done so far, follow us on Facebook. We're always rebroadcasting and reposting things that we find in our local theater area that come out really quickly that we want to let everybody know about. We are SARTA Theaters. Follow us on Facebook. We are also on Instagram. You can follow us here. If you're hanging out here, please click the follow button and become one of our followers. You'll get notifications each week when we do this. And I can tell you right now, I'm recording another special community conversation tomorrow that I'm going to do a special feature on this week, early this week, because there's a really cool fundraiser coming up that I'm going to come back and tell you about. So keep an eye out, follow us so you can get the notifications for when that's going to happen, because it's going to be great and I want to tell you all about it. I tell you this every week, and I hope that you'll make it come true sometimes and come up and say hi. I watch you on Twitch, or I picked you up on YouTube. I'm so glad that we're doing this because we really want to see you at the theater. All right, everyone, have an amazing rest of your week. I'll see you again this week with another special feature. And until then, take care, everyone. Bye.